Film all you want. Just get back.
I'm filming.
You start interfering, I'll arrest you.
I'm not interfering. I'm just filming.
You don't have to be a professional member of the press in order to record ICE. The best way to preserve our rights is to continue to exercise them. Hi everyone, my name is Byul and I work with the ACLU Speech Privacy Technology Project, where I focus on defending the First Amendment rights of community organizers and activists. Understandably, right now, a lot of people have questions about what they can and can't do when documenting ICE activity. So we're gonna try our best to answer some of your questions. So our first question, am I legally allowed to record ICE? Yes, the First Amendment generally protects the right to photograph or record anything in public view, and that includes immigration and law enforcement officers. So if you're in a public place and you see ICE, you have the right to record them, as long as you don't cross into interference or obstruction. Put another way, recording ICE in public is not a crime, and you cannot be punished for that alone. You should be aware, though, that on private property, owners can set their own rules about photography and recording. And I'm also glad that you asked whether you're legally allowed to record ICE. Throughout our discussion today, I want you to remember that unfortunately, there is sometimes a difference between what the law says and what officers on the ground are actually doing. So the fact that they're violating your constitutional rights can protect you from prosecution and punishment once it goes to a judge, but it's still a painful and draining process to have to go through that. And as we've all seen, agents might respond with physical force. They might pull out their guns, spray chemical irritants, or assault people. So remember, even if it's a constitutionally protected activity, doing something that a federal agent or police officer doesn't want you to do can still be risky. Okay, next question. When can ICE make arrests, and what is the difference between an administrative warrant and a judicial warrant? Great question. The basic answer is that an administrative warrant is issued by an executive branch officer, not a judge. ICE can make immigration arrests based on administrative warrants or without a warrant if they have probable cause that the person is removable and a flight risk. Longstanding law and ICE policy make clear that ICE can't forcibly enter homes based on administrative warrants. They need a warrant signed by a judge.
So you guys are just gonna stay in here without being invited in? You guys don't have a warrant? You're kind of breaking the law.
But ICE has now adopted a policy of forcible entry without judicial warrants, and people are challenging this in court. ICE can arrest people for federal criminal violations. Many of their arrests of observers and protesters are based on allegations of the crime of impeding federal officers. So, for example, many states have hands-free driving laws that make it illegal for you to have your phone in your hand while you're driving. So in that case, if you're recording ICE from behind the wheel while you're driving, you could still be pulled over or cited for breaking that law. And remember, if you're obstructing or physically interfering with their operations, you can be arrested and punished for that, even if you were doing so while you were recording them or you did so to express yourself. At what distance is it legally clear that you're not obstructing? Is there a rule of thumb to follow in terms of how many feet away you must be while you're recording? Great question. There's no bright line legally for how far away you have to be while you're recording. That is, unless you live in a state that has a specific law that officers can invoke to tell you to back up a certain distance. But for those of you that live in states without those laws, a good rule of thumb would maybe be enough steps away that the officer would have to affirmatively walk towards you in order to be in physical contact with you. And you should also make sure that you're not blocking anyone from entering or exiting the area. Okay, next question. What's the difference between a regular person recording ICE activities and press recording ICE activities? Great question, and that's a common misconception, but when it comes to recording ICE, the First Amendment equally protects both the press and quote-unquote regular people or people who aren't professional reporters. You don't have to be a professional member of the press in order to record ICE when you're in public. Do we have to give ICE our phones if they demand them? Since recording officers in public is protected by the First Amendment, then that's not a lawful order. If you're arrested, then they can take your phone, but even then they still need a warrant in order to search the contents inside your phone. But remember, just because the law says that they need a warrant doesn't mean that they might not still try to demand it anyways. So if ICE makes an unlawful demand, you're gonna have to decide for yourself if you want to comply or not based on your own particular risks. Do our rights even matter if ICE doesn't seem to care? It's completely understandable to feel that way. Right now, they want us to feel despair and they want us to all give up. but the best way to preserve our rights is to continue to exercise them. It's up to all of us to stand together to protect our ability to document and protest government abuses, so that way we can move towards a country where everyone can speak freely and hold powerful actors accountable. Last question, what's your favorite song to listen to before arguing in court? Actually, what I do before I have to make a big argument or perform is I actually like to do a meditation, a mantra. So we can all do it together if we'd like. So I sit or stand in a powerful posture, and I say, breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I am solid. Breathing in, I see myself as a still body of water. Breathing out, I reflect things exactly as they are. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. And breathing out, I am fresh. So I got that from Thich Nhat Hanh and the Buddhists at the Plum Village Center. So check them out, try the mantra yourself, and keep fighting the good fight. Thank you everyone for tuning in today and for all of your questions. And if you have more questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the comments. And please send this to all of your friends, your community. Make sure that everybody knows what their rights are. And don't forget to like and subscribe.